Hello and welcome to is this the 8th or the ninth edition? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we lose track.
Yeah, to the blank edition of the Two Black, Two Nerdy podcast. I am your host, Kris.
I'm your co-host, Kris.
And today we have a special guest with us. Ricky, he has a big YouTube channel called Stewdippin. Ricky, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Ricky. I have the YouTube channel called Stewdippin, where I have been posting my nerdy musings consistently since around 2011. But I'm an OG YouTube account that started in 2005.
Okay, wow, all right, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so I do that. I also co-host the Flashback Flicks Retro Movie Podcast, where me and my buddy Grayson, we talk about old movies because it's cheaper than a movie ticket.
Okay.
So
That's true.
it's a lot of fun. So we review old movies, see how they hold up over time, come up with different games to make old movies feel new. So also do that.
All right, and the question we always ask any guest on our podcast, we always ask you, when did you first identify or realize you were a geek / a nerd, and what were the first things from your childhood that what were the first geeky things that you were really into growing up? For me, it was Yu-Gi-Oh. For Kris,
I was born in it.
You were born
molded by it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, man, Yu-Gi-Oh for me, I have some cards around. Yeah, I got some Yu-Gi-Oh cards like right here. Yu-Gi-Oh was huge for me. So I'm a 90s kid, so I feel like being a nerd and like embracing that wasn't like a thing until like the early to mid 2000s. Because like I don't think I like identified as that until like maybe like I don't know 2007 or 8ish.
Okay.
Maybe, but like retroactively, like everything in my childhood would point to me being a nerd. I actually made a video on YouTube a couple of years ago talking about my fandom lineage. As a kid, I was really into Garfield, Scooby-Doo, the Looney Tunes, pretty much anything on Kids WB. But like those are my big fandoms, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Like
okay, yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
pretty big for me too.
Yeah, I was really big into the Sonic the Hedgehog comics when I was a kid.
Yes, that was my first comic collection ever. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ironically, I started off at the end of like one saga, and I never got back like the ones before it, and so I just always read it, and I'm just like, what happened before this?
Yeah, those Sonic comics, like, they expanded over, like, the baseline plot from the games, like, so much. Like, there were so many just, like, comic-exclusive characters and, like, events and whatnot. Because I remember reading the comics when I was younger, and I was like, this has nothing to do, like, I don't understand where this falls, like, with the games. You know what I mean? And I'm like, who is Sally Acorn? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, who are these characters?
But then I was like, Sally needs to get into the games because Sally is kind of badass. Like, she gets into it.
All right, I'm gonna school y'all a little bit in case you don't know this already. So Sally comes from the Saturday morning cartoon, Sonic Sat AM. So there were two versions of Sonic. There was the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and then Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog aired on ABC. That one is called Sat AM because it came on Saturday morning. And that one was way darker. And it had like this just huge cast of characters. A lot like you got Sally Acorn, you got the Walrus dude, and
the French guy with the sword. And
yes,
Yeah.
Yes. And so basically that was like tonally just a complete shift from like the basically like Looney Tunes cartoon version of Sonic the Hedgehog with the theme song like da 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 where what Scratch and Sniff I think were the henchmen for Robotnik. So basically the Sat AM characters were where they drew a lot of the inspiration for the comics because it was way darker. I remember they had like two-parters, and when people got turned into there was this bunny. There was like a half bunny, half robot character. And so anytime someone got like turned into a robot, it was like a huge deal. Like Sonic's grandpa, who was basically like their Uncle Ben, when he turned into a robot and Sonic lost it. It was just like a huge emotional kind of thing, and so that's where that kind of thing came from. So when I read the comics, I'm like, they're bringing together the two worlds. So you got like, and then Shadow showed up eventually in the comics. I'm like, Shadow and Sally. This is crazy.
Yeah, we can. We're gonna talk about Sonic Mania a little bit later, but yeah, no, I remember the Nostalgia Critic. He did like a video comparing the two shows, like way back in the day. So yeah, I definitely remember what you're talking about. But it's interesting that the show came. So those characters were on the shows before they were in the comic. Okay, because I actually didn't know that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I remember it from my childhood. Back in my day.
Yeah. So I think next we were gonna go over. I have here a Comicon highlight. So were there any trailers for any TV shows or movies or games that really caught you guys' attention? Anything you guys are excited for or not excited for? You know.
Oh, you look at me for not excited for.
Yeah. A lot of negative buzz about Inhumans. So
yeah, we gotta hit the big three first. You know, Infinity War, Justice League, then Thor Ragnarok.
That's fine.
So we've all seen the Infinity War footage. I wish they would have released it outright. I wish they would have released the Black Panther footage. From what I heard, it was just spectacular. But
yeah, I didn't think we were gonna get Infinity War, but I'm surprised it was like nothing from Black Panther besides like the panel they had. Because that movie, I mean, it's coming out. February
16th.
Yeah, during Black History Month. Yeah, it's February.
I think it's hilarious that it's coming out during Black History Month, but I'm also sort of mad.
I don't know. I have no idea. Like, did they do that on purpose?
You know they did that on purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, at this point, you know they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But with Infinity War footage, you saw like a Black Panther fighting. You saw, Captain America doing his best Snake impression. So it was pretty good. Like seeing Thanos throw comets was pretty cool. Even though he
that footage, it's not 100% done though, right? It's like pre.
Yeah, it's pre post production.
It's pre. Okay, yeah, because that's what I thought. Because I'm like watching like the leaked trailer on YouTube, and it's like I'm like, is that Iron Man? You have to like squint a little bit, but that was cool.
Yeah,
definitely.
I enjoyed it. The one thing, like I was talking to you guys about before the podcast, Thanos doesn't have his crown on, which I think is just weird.
I do think it's weird.
Really weird.
Because doesn't he always have it most of the time?
Yeah, except for when he, is, taking hiatus from being Thanos and he fakes his own death.
Okay.
I mean, he has like a 6 or 7 finger forehead. Like, it's ridiculous. So distracting. Just be like, I'd be cracking jokes at you because you don't look threatening.
He takes his helmet off. Boy, let me get in this.
Yeah. No, I thought he was more threatening with the helmet on. One thing, and we talked about this before, I was a little disappointed there was like no Thanos in like Guardians 2.
Yeah, they told James Gunn no, and I'm like,
and it was like, because they had this whole like side story with like Gamora and her sister like rekindling, and I'm like, we could have, because they talked about like like Thanos used to make them fight and all that kind of stuff, and you could have put him in like a flashback, of him making the two sisters fight and like all that kind of stuff, because I wish like we knew a little bit more about him before jumping into Infinity War.
Right.
Yeah, they could have pulled like some ominous like Fire Lord Ozai flashback.
Yeah.
Like how like they don't completely show him, but they just show him like in action. You know that he's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like they could have done at least more to at least allude to him.
Right, or even just, have his voice in there for like 30 seconds, like saying, doing his best Emperor Palpatine. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, and the more I think about Guardians, the more disappointed I am in how they didn't really build to anything. Like, it was a standalone film, which I get, but it was only a standalone film because they said you can't really do that, and then I'm still mad Adam Warlock is not in Infinity War. I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, he's Guardians 3, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's going to be the villain
whenever
in
that
Guardians
comes
3. But, it makes me think that Infinity War, so Avengers 3 is going to be Thanos collecting everything, everybody coming together. He kills everybody, and then Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, you think
Spider-Man will be standing?
Well, so what I've seen is a picture from. It was a picture that someone took while they were doing the special effects, and you see Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is like you see it's like in one of those other dimensions, like when he was traveling those, and he through all the multiverse and something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like we have to go back, we have to bring them back. Was the caption on it?
Was
like,
it
on the photo itself, not like the Instagram caption, like it was subtitles. So that's what makes me think that's gonna happen. I mean, they have to go back in time somehow anyway, because everybody has to die in Infinity War. But I just think that I was like, you could have built it up a little bit more, so then we could have got a bit more of story in Infinity War instead of we gotta play catch up.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like they have so many people in there. I just don't know. Yeah, I have no idea how. I wonder about the pacing, I guess. Mm-hmm. With I feel like all the stuff that has to happen. But you want to talk about Justice League for a minute?
I'll let other people start off on Justice League.
You'll let me start off on Justice League. So, the trailers look pretty good. I know there's a lot of drama right now because like Joss Whedon had to take over and they have to do a lot of reshoots and stuff like that.
Apparently, those reshoots are all a part of Zack Snyder's plan.
So they're like, okay, because there's like drama like about, oh, is this going to change how like the original movie ending for the movie they didn't like, and now they're changing it, and I'm just like I don't, yeah, because this is, I mean, Wonder Woman was good, but like Justice League succeeding, I think is definitely going to decide the future of like what they're doing with DC movies after this, because they have no idea.
I think they do. It's just not following Marvel's plan, and that, makes people feel a little uneasy because, Marvel had this linchpin where we're like origin movie. Well,
Marvel had like a list. Marvel always comes up with like a list of everything that they're doing,
right? And
they only change it like slightly every once in a while. With DC, you just hear like rumors are like, there's going to be a Gotham City Sirens, and they want to do a Batman solo movie with Deathstroke, or they want to do a Joker origin movie. It's like, all right, like what are you guys doing?
But I think they're building a multiverse because
the Joker movie's not going to be in the continuity.
Yeah,
is it not? Okay.
Yeah, because with bringing, Darkseid so soon, the ultimate linchpin is, and having Flashpoint being the Flash movie, the ultimate linchpin is doing a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, they could. That would be interesting. Yeah, the Flash movie's supposed to be Flashpoint. I'm like, all right.
No, I'm okay with that because season 3 of The Flash did that no justice.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball.
Pun intended. No justice. Sorry, I'm a sucker for puns.
But yeah, I liked the trailer. I thought it was good. I remember I showed it to my mom, and when Steppenwolf came down on Themyscira, she was like, "Oh snap!" She was just like, "Who is this taking on the Amazons?" I was like, "Oh god!" I was like, "Mom, I'm proud of you. Your nerd side is showing." But
and Wonder Woman has not been back. Since she left in her movie.
Yeah, and apparently there is when the Parademons and Steppenwolf attack Themyscira, it is a huge battle. It's not like we're just going to see it for like 5 seconds. We're actually going to get a good clip of the movie. Well, not a good clip, but a good scene like a huge battle, which I am all for.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Ricky, you have any thoughts on Justice League at all?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because it really looks like Marvel came in with their phase 1. Like, they made, like, way back in the day, even before Disney bought them and Avengers could actually be a thing, they said, listen, we want to do this thing right. We want to build out this world. They went in with Iron Man and phase 1 in mind. Whereas it feels like DC is like trying to like copy off of Marvel's notes, like while Marvel is finishing their tests. It's just like, Justice League, and Wonder Woman and Flashpoint. Yeah, here's our thing. Like, I don't think it's like as planned out as Marvel has, because like Marvel, like they've been hitting us hit after hit after hit after hit, and then they built up to it. So I feel like Justice League, like they don't even have hits. Like Man of Steel was like kind of okay, and Batman v Superman was, but Wonder Woman was.
Controversial, to say the least.
But then Wonder Woman, they're like, yes!
Yeah, Wonder Woman, I think, was their first movie that I think, like, people legitimately point at and go, okay, that was a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything else was controversial, you know. I think you say controversial at best. And I mean, me and Kris, we've had the BVS debate a number of times, you know.
I think, but in my opinion, Iron Man is still my favorite Marvel movie. I think it's their best one, shortly followed by Winter Soldier. Like, Winter Soldier is just, like, right there.
Really, the first Iron Man.
Yeah, because with that one, unlike any of the other Iron Man movies and really any other Marvel movies, I felt for Iron Man. There was heart there. It paced well. That's true. There were mistakes, as there are in any movie, but it was a good movie, and I could see, where he was trying to come with his path to redemption and everything like that.
And it was the first movie, like, Iron Man, like, they still use the Iron Man formula in their other movies,
which I
to this
don't
day,
like.
which is some of the complaints that people have about Marvel. Like, Doctor Strange was Iron Man with magic.
Yeah, well, Doctor Strange was Iron Man on drugs, and Ant-Man was Iron Man on crime. So it, you had the formula, yes, but you still have to trick out the wheel at least. Don't reinvent it, but trick it out a little bit.
Yeah, add some spinners, something.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about when we had our Batman versus Superman debate, I was like, if you're comparing it to the Marvel Universe, Man of Steel is Iron Man. Batman versus Superman is Iron Man 2. And there are a lot of parallels between Iron Man 2. And if you're going to put up Batman versus Superman versus Iron Man 2, Batman versus Superman is going to win 10 times out of 10. Because, like with Iron Man 2, you cut back on Iron Man to introduce more people into the universe. It was really, the plot was sort of like, with the whole villain and everything and too many villains and things like that. And then you had the same thing with Batman versus Superman. You got less Superman, more Batman. It was controversial in the hero choice. And then you had this villain's plan that was sort of, which, watch the Ultimate Edition. It's fleshed out. But
So what your argument is pretty much saying is that, like, Marvel took time to kind of get stuff going. And Iron Man 2 was their second movie and was definitely, like, not the best. So what you're saying is that you think that people should give the DC movies
give it
time to kind of find, like, what their niche is, which
let's not talk about Suicide Squad.
Well, Suicide Squad is, we'll leave that alone.
Suicide Squad was the third, was the next movie. Well, technically you have the Incredible Hulk.
No, the Incredible Hulk, yeah.
So you're comparing Thor to Suicide Squad. I'm like, but Thor, I don't see, we'll talk about Ragnarok in a few minutes, but with Thor, like, I feel like you can't really make a good, like, a really good Thor
I think with Thor, I honestly do think that the Thor movies, they're doing the best they could. I mean, my complaint with the first one was that we were on Earth too much and we should have been in Asgard more in the first one. And the second one, I thought that the villain they picked was really weak, and everybody who was there for Loki.
Well,
in the second Thor movie. Well, does anybody remember the Thor 2 movie villain?
The villain Malekith was
Christopher
weak,
Eccleston.
Yeah, he was weak, but he was only in there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
well, and he wasn't, and he was just like, the villain was just like, it could have been anyone. Yeah. Like, if you would have told me it was a putty monster made by Rita Repulsa, I probably would have believed you. Like, it was just like such a like cookie cutter villain, just like, this villain doesn't like you and he wants to destroy stuff because he's a villain, I guess. Like, that was it.
Yeah, no, I mean, people, like I said, people were there for Loki, but I guess we can transition to talking about Thor Ragnarok. There's a lot of hype around this movie, more than I feel like other Thor movies have had. I know where people are excited for the Hulk being in it. People like Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and I don't know. Like, this movie, I feel like it's going to be different than the other Thor movies.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they figured out that Thor, much like Iron Fist, in my opinion, is best when working with a team. I feel like the Thor solo films, I think the first one wasn't bad. I also went in with pretty low expectations. But, like, I thought the first one was, like, good. But then you put Thor and the Avengers and, like, A+ Thor, you showed up, you contributed, gold star. And then Dark World happens and it's just like, no. All right, Thor, I guess you're here. I guess we needed this information because an Infinity Stone is here. But, like, again, like, I think we spent too much time on Earth with stakes that didn't feel too real. But like you have Ragnarok, which already looks like we are not going to be on Earth. Like if we are going to be on Earth, it doesn't look like we're going to be there for long because we get to explore space and other planets and like other creatures and like the Hulk. And kind of like a nod to World War Hulk. I'm just like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is everything that people have been wanting from a Thor movie. Yes. I think for a while.
So my about the whole traveling, what I've gotten from everything that's come out so far and what people have been talking about is the only time it's on Earth is I think in the very beginning when Thor is talking to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is going to be in it.
Either he goes back because Asgard is under attack, or he goes back to Asgard and then it gets under attack. And then
you lose the hammer,
right? Which whoop-de-doo. I'm here for Thor with a battle axe. So then you have, Planet Hulk, which like I'm more excited for Ragnarok than I was for Spider-Man Homecoming, but that's really pretty much because of the whole Planet Hulk part.
Well, we're getting to Spider-Man Homecoming a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah,
I'll probably enjoy it.
I'm always going to see it.
But there hasn't been a Marvel movie that I've really been excited for outside of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 since... Yeah, Civil War sort of broke me for Marvel.
Oh, really?
Because I love the comic book. I love the Civil War comic book, and the fact that I feel like they didn't translate that well to the screen. But then also people love Zemo so much. They're like, he's the best villain ever. I'm like, you make me so angry.
I like the airport fight scene.
Yeah, the airport fight scene is cool because, like, let's be real. Seeing heroes duke it out is always awesome.
Oh, it's the best. I think the thing for me, I loved Civil War. And in fact, like, for me, like, as far as Marvel movies rank for me, Cap is in the top 3 for all of them. It's Winter Soldier, Civil War.
I enjoy Civil War a lot too. Chris and I, we're kind of like the good cop, bad cop when it comes to that kind of stuff. So.
Oh yeah, because like Civil War, I think in my opinion, Civil War is a better Avengers movie than Age of Ultron. I thought Age of Ultron was so disappointing. I'm just like, but you did, the other movie you made, right? You know how to do this right. But then that's why I like Civil War the most. But like, I thought that the coolest thing about Civil War is just that, like, it finally had the same kind of comic book conflict that happens within the characters. Like, everyone... I like the whole, like, disassembled part of the storyline where people had to, like, figure out, like, hey, well, now that, like, superheroing is a thing, how do we do this best? Because, like, if they would have done, like, Civil War, like, the comic series, it would have had to basically replace Infinity War. Just because it's so massive.
Yeah. I sort of wish, though, that Civil War was their, like, Avengers 3, instead of Infinity War. Because at that point, you could introduce more heroes into it. And then you can sort of build up to it more because Civil War is such this defining point in Marvel history. Like, even if since they've retconned it, they still talk about it, the effects of it, and so that would have been all good, But Avengers 2, what disappointed me most about that movie was James Spader, because I'm a huge James Spader fan, and he was great as Ultron until they made him Tony Stark.
Yeah, exactly. Like, my big thing is that, like, you look at the movies, and I think the coolest thing about the first Avengers movie is that the heroes could not take on the villain themselves. They couldn't. They just couldn't. They had to not only come together as a team, like, strength-wise, but they had to use each other's strengths and strategy in order to beat the villain. But Ultron... they were just like, all right, we're just gonna fight a whole bunch of robots, and I guess we can just take him down. Like, it didn't seem like he was a challenge. Like, when Cap was fighting Ultron one-on-one, and he's just like, hey, this is really easy, you guys. Like, the fact that Bucky put up a better fight than Ultron didn't make a bit of sense to me. I'm just like, what? You're fighting a robot that knows every single one of your moves, has all the information on like how to like take you down, and you're just like, this is just like sparring. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. This is so inconsistent.
Right, and then he randomly can like pull up the ground and things like that. I'm like, why isn't that explored? Why is that power here for like 2 seconds? It's like the exploding people in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I mean,
none of it makes sense.
Well, they wouldn't have won if they didn't have vision.
Right.
Because it was also like, well, Ultron can literally be anywhere. And it was also more of like, okay, he's like a program. He can go in the internet and literally be anywhere. Like, your toaster can strangle you and kill you. Like, they did not explore that nearly as much as they could have.
Right. They could have brought him back in Phase 5, you know. These Avengers are gone, but you have these ones now. Like, I want to see Black Panther take on Ultron. That would be dope.
Like, I want to see,
for real.
I want to see someone, like, be attacked by their, like, alarm clock or something.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. So, I totally get what you guys mean. Was there any other... There's a lot of shows coming out this fall, superhero-wise. A lot of people...
What a time to be alive.
A lot of people are disappointed with it. A lot of people are afraid for Inhumans, which I guess is going to come out in IMAX, or like the first 2 episodes are going to.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about it. I have no idea.
I mean, I'm not going to a movie theater to watch it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, yeah.
So I don't know a lot about Inhumans. I first heard about them in a comic that I was reading in Miss Marvel, because I think like her origin is like Miss Marvel is an Inhuman, and so like that was kind of like my first introduction to the Inhumans. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this trailer, and poor everyone who like I'm sure that they were like, yo, this will be great, like. Because, like, Medusa does, like, she has a hair thing. Like, she has sentient hair.
Yeah.
And drawing, like, sentient hair can be cool, but, like, man. Like, this is, like, the whole argument that I think people make for, like, why, when the X-Men movies were around, like, hey, why don't you put the X-Men in, like, bright yellow and blue suits? Like comic accurate. Like, why don't you put Wolverine in, like, a comic accurate suit? Because he'll look ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they can try to put like nods to it, like, hey, we'll put like these accent colors in here, but like we have to make it look believable to like that human beings would wear this and not like comics. And I feel like they just probably should have gone with something completely different, because I don't even know what the fix is, but it doesn't look great.
The wig looks absolutely horrible. Like when I first saw the pictures for him, like, she looks like Miss Addams from the Addams Family, just with orange hair.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Marvel, they've got a lot of stuff come down the pipeline. They've got like Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing like they're doing like an X-Men show, like Gifted or something.
Mm-hmm. But that's not a part of the movie universe, which doesn't make sense because they're using the same actress that makes the portals as they did in Days of Future Past, and I'm like,
are they?
Yeah, she's in it.
Blink.
Yeah, Blink. Yeah, she's in it. I'm like, why is it not connected then? It would have been fine. No.
Well, I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, the X-Men movie, like the continuity is such a mess. I just honestly just want like a reboot of the whole thing. To be honest, especially after Logan, I'm like, can we just?
Yeah, I think they should do what they've been doing with Spider-Man and just like reboot it and call it like Uncanny X-Men, and it's just like a completely different storyline, or it has a different jumping on point. Like, hey, this is like a post-apocalypse storyline. Like, one of my favorite X-Men comics is New X-Men, because it basically was what Heroes should have been, the Heroes, a TV show, because oh man. So basically what they did in New X-Men, the big storyline was like, okay, great, this is after the Phoenix Saga, except instead of Phoenix Force destroying Jean Grey, she actually has control over the Phoenix Force. And so this whole premise of the storyline is that mutants are the next step in evolution. Like, it is the proper next step. And so they follow these different storylines of like, oh, well, now mutants are being hunted, and like their mutant abilities are being extracted so that people can get like implants. Like, hey, you want to fly? Here's some wings, and it'll like be coded into your DNA, and you'll be able to fly. and like the X-Men have to go in and investigate that, or like different things like, oh, like Xavier's crazy sister is like trying to retake over the world, and she's like Magneto but times 10 when it comes to like the eliminate all human kind of plan. But like I was like, this is amazing. Like I read like 5 volumes of that and it was so solid, but it like took the continuity that people. Oh, another cool thing is that Beast was like regressing more into an animal. Like instead of him just like having that, like he's like turning more and more into an animal, so he has to like keep that in check. I'm like, this would be so good in a movie. So if they were to like do something like that and like have a different kind of multiverse basically with the X-Men universe, I think that it would be amazing.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about the new X-Men, they sort of fixed the like glaring plot hole that is, why do people hate mutants but love superheroes? Because at the same time, like, the only difference is, and even for some of them, is they're born with powers and
instead of getting them later.
Right. And so I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it made sense back in the 60s because it was pretty much just a comparison between, you know, having Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It was just like, hey, black people, why don't we like them? You know, so it was just like, you know, it doesn't make sense in today's really in time, you know, when you have all these other
stuff going
superheroes
on
and all these things like that. So, yeah, I love Deadpool's comedy. He's just like, which one, McAvoy or Stewart? These times.
Yeah. It's just like, it's confusing. But they're
what do you think? Josh Brolin as Cable. You see that picture?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, Cable, like, his origin is such a mess, like, as it is. I really hope in Deadpool, like, they just don't explain it, like, at all. Or they make a joke about it.
Or pull a Joker, like, in The Killing Joke, you know, I prefer my past to be multiple choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Cable, where are you from? Like, don't worry about it. It's too long to explain, because it is.
Or no, have someone else, have, like, Domino asked it, and then have Deadpool just be like, I need more screen time in my movie.
Yeah, just, yeah. Because I like, you could literally, I mean, Cable could have his own movie. He could have his own TV show because his origin is just like, so there was a clone of Jean Grey. It was just like, yeah.
I do need a Thanos joke in Deadpool though.
Yes.
Just like how they were, you know, winking in Legends with Brandon Routh was like, I think she looks like my cousin. Like, I need something like that.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever done Purple?
I mean, it's Deadpool. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
Like, I like the first Deadpool. I think they're just gonna build off that. They'll probably have more money this time too. Yeah. Because the first one did so well for a rated R movie. So, any other? I'm trying to think of any other Comicon stuff. We can save the CW stuff for probably another podcast when those shows are coming out.
I don't want to talk about the CW. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Was there any other shows announced at Comic-Con really?
I know they talked about. I mean, this is Defenders is now out. And already done. But they were talking about Defenders.
Defenders it's on the list after Spider-Man.
Defenders.
So we can, if you guys want to, we can talk about Spider-Man Homecoming for a little bit and then go to Defenders.
Alright, so what would you guys rate Spider-Man Homecoming out of 10?
I'd give it a 7 or 8.
I was gonna say that, 7 or 8.
I gave it a 7.5, 7.5 because it was good. I enjoyed it, but I didn't really enjoy it. Like, I didn't want to go back and go see it like next weekend or something like that. I'm like, I'm good with seeing it once.
I liked it better.
Getting it when it comes.
I liked it better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Both of them. I like the Amazing Spider-Man, the
first one.
And so in my mind, it's Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Then Tobey Maguire. I wonder if he knows he's like on this pedestal. I just imagine because he doesn't really do much anymore. Right. I can just see him just like in like a 1-bedroom apartment. Just he has no idea that people still love him for those early Spider-Man movies.
I need him to be Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
and I need Andrew Garfield to be the robber that kills him. They need to do that.
Oh my god!
Even Tom Holland says he wants that.
He wants.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was just like, please do it. It would be so great.
All I want is side thing. This is just a thing that ever since that Sony's like, okay, you know what, we'll have shared custody of Spider-Man between us and Marvel. Ever since they did that, I said all I want is for them to expand the Spider-Verse and one of the Spider-Men from another universe is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and like maybe he's like Ben Reilly Spider-Man or whatever. I don't care. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Continue.
It would no. I want that too. I just don't know. I feel like they could get Andrew Garfield because he still does stuff.
Maguire
but
too.
I
He
just
don't
like
care. He just want a paycheck.
Tobey Maguire's like, oh, I've gotten work. Yeah.
Like, I would probably cry of laughter during that scene in the movie. Like, I'd probably have to get escorted out because I'm laughing so hard.
Did you see they asked Kirsten Dunst about Spider-Man Homecoming, and she's like, dude, we make the best ones.
I didn't see that. Kirsten Dunst is so irrelevant to my life.
I know. She like, yeah, I mean, she's like, I'm done with those movies.
Yeah, here's my thing. Like, for me, like, even though I give it like a 7 or 8, I absolutely love Spider-Man Homecoming because I feel like the way I've always seen the other Spider-Man movies is that each Spider-Man series has been a half of a whole. I feel like the Peter Parker or the I'm blanking on his name. So Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is like one of the quintessential versions of Peter Parker. They tell a fantastic Peter Parker story. Tobey Maguire is not Spider-Man. He can't do quips. He's too nasal. He's like, oh hey, am I late? Like he doesn't do quips well. Andrew Garfield, he's got the quips. Like he does Spider-Man so well. He has the body language. I love Amazing Spider-Man 2 solely for just the amount of time that we had him like grabbing on to like fire, running like fire trucks, and like the amount of time that he was swinging through the city. I'm just like, yes, this is Spider-Man. And Homecoming blended the two so well.
So you have a good Peter Parker and a good Spider-Man. Yeah, I've heard that.
Like when he got out of that car, and the villains were just top notch. When he got out of the car and he said to Liz, I'm sorry, I gotta go, and he started booking it in that hallway, and he's got his old costume out. I'm just standing up, just like, yes, like, go Spidey, yes, because like that's what I think that they did that part really, really well. The only thing I would have wanted more of, funny enough, is less of Iron Man. I wish he didn't show up as much as he did, just because I wanted to see Peter handle more things on his own. But for what it was, that's why I would give it a 7 or 8, because I really liked it.
I mean, a lot of people say that. I mean, I think a lot of people like Spider-Man to be poor. You know, like that's a part of like why people like him, because he's the guy's like he's struggling. You know, that helps make him relatable, and I think a lot of people were afraid that the Iron Man helping him out would like take away from that. Now I did like that Iron Man took away his suit and he had to do the final battle and his like, you know, in his like,
cosplay of himself.
His cosplay of himself. I did enjoy that, but I do kind of agree with you that like having Iron Man in it kind of took some of like a bit of the threat away, because you're like, oh well, you know, Iron Man might help out, you know. So I get what you're saying with that.
So with that part, with the Iron Man portion, so the movie was originally for Nick Fury, as he was supposed to be the mentor a la the Ultimate comics. And then they're like, well, if Robert Downey Jr. wants to, we'll get him, and he did, and so they'll like do it that way. But I mean, it makes sense that Iron Man would be a mentor to Spider-Man. It makes sense. They sort of hinted that at the end of the Ultimate comics before they killed Peter Parker.
Right.
But, you know, a little bit less Iron Man. Vulture, I liked the Vulture. They actually toned him down a little bit. He was supposed to be more ruthless. And I was really looking forward to that. I still think he was good. He was relatable because, you know, and I think that's
the
good
blue collar villain.
I'm for that. I loved Zendaya. She was great for her, sort of like her quippiness and her sarcastic nature.
I wonder how much she was in the movie. Zendaya, she was getting like all the attention, but like she's not in the movie like that much in like small scenes. But when she is there, no, Zendaya was funny. I like the twist with Michael Keaton being Liz's dad. Father. Like that's a great way of like using race to divert, you know, to change the audience's perception, because you're like, I guess that could be her dad. Like I guess she could be biracial. When
rumors were going again was that he was going to be Zendaya's character's father, and I was
I liked the rumors were wrong too.
Yeah, I like that too. And so then, going in, then I was just like, oh wait, no, it's gonna be, and then it was him, and I was like, okay, that's good.
No, because I remember like when I was watching the movie, like when Michael Keaton opens the door when he's about to take her, about to take her out, the whole audience is like,
yeah,
happened there. I'm like, all right, they did a good job.
The car scene though was great. That was great. Like,
dude pulled a gun out of his glove box. Listen, boy, I'm just like, oh snap.
Yeah. And so that was a great scene, great acting by both. He's just like trying to be awkward. The daughter's just like, oh, you're just scaring him, but he was like, no.
Because they're both trying to figure each other out at the same time, and then Liz is just oblivious to everything that's going on.
Right. The one thing, though, that going into Homecoming was, like, I'm sort of tired of seeing a high school Spider-Man. Like, I want to see college Spider-Man and adult Spider-Man.
This is the best high school Spider-Man they've done.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to really an adult Spider-Man yet because,
But that's, like, a whole different era, yeah. I mean, there's, like, college Spider-Man, there's, like, adult Spider-Man.
We didn't even really get college Spider-Man all that well because, we got that a little bit in Spider-Man 2 and 3. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was like the summer before he would have started college, but we saw nothing about that. So, I mean, just a more adult Peter Parker because, honestly, because people were complaining about how Flash wasn't this big jock, but he was still a bully. It was like, yeah, because those are bullies in today's day and age.
Well, they're doing the new age style bully, like the smart,
rich,
cyber bully kind of thing.
Smart, rich, cyber bully. Yeah, because I'm just like, you don't really have those really hulking bullies anymore. That's not really a thing. Because,
yeah.
It just isn't. So I was just like, it is what it is.
But I enjoyed the movie for what it was.
Yeah, even though I cannot see that kid being Agent Venom.
One thing I did like is I think if you had been in high school in the past like 10 years, they really tried to do a lot of things to make it accurate. Like I like how his friend, he had like acne cream and a retainer, and at one point someone has like a TI-84. Mm-hmm. A TI-84, I was like, all right, they did their homework. Because like that is like...
Oh, the bathroom scene at the end where Happy...
when the guy's in that...
The Asian kid's just like...
He just looks at them and...
Oh my God, I could not stop laughing. That was fantastic.
I wonder how much that extra got paid.
I wonder if they just told him... I wonder if they told him anything about that. Or what if that kid wasn't even an extra? He was just in that bathroom. He's just like...
He just looks at them and walks out.
Sees cameras like...
Oh. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was great.
No, I actually really like High School Spider-Man because here my main thing, because that's when I got into Spider-Man. It's just like I started getting into him in high school. I'm just like, man, this kid, like he's trying to provide for his aunt. He's broke, but he's trying to have a social life. And I think that we spend at least a little bit of time of him in high school and like both of the other reboots. But I want to see more of him here because one of the coolest things about Spider-Man, especially anytime they do start him out, is that the audience grows up with him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to be able to do. Like, and I think that's why I really liked the second Spider-Man is because like when I first watched Spider-Man 2, like I was in college at the time. I'm just like, oh man, like Peter Parker's in college, I'm in college, we're both trying to figure this out, man. Like I think I think that's fun when you can like grow up with the characters, and I want to see just a little bit more of him in high school before they do move on. But we might, and this is my theory based off of what I've seen from the Infinity War footage, I think that if we don't get another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, that if they do kill him off in Infinity War, that we'll get Miles Morales, which is...
Well, they teased that.
We do have a sequel coming. Sequel is slotted.
They're going to do one.
Yeah, but it starts minutes after Avengers 4. Like, that's what they said. It starts right after.
It's supposed to. Because they teased Miles in that universe with Donald Glover
I'm so happy.
Donald Glover is his uncle. Because I didn't catch that first. He's like, oh, I have an uncle who lives around here. Because his uncle's what, the Prowler?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who he was. Yeah. So they know they're planting seeds for, hey, maybe we'll do it, maybe not. So that's
So we have to see how Avengers 3 and 4, because he is in high school. And presumably, Iron Man's probably going to be gone, or Cap's going to be gone, or probably
they
both.
gotta. Well, the thing is that those actors don't want to do it forever,
right?
And I mean, Infinity War has to have some sort of impact. Like we have to lose somebody. You know what I mean?
I think it would.
Hawkeye.
If you want to do if you want to do the most, it would be Iron Man because, like that's the character people love the most. So that's something you got to do with it. But you got to see, because in Iron Man 3, at least they address the issue of like how this world changing event would affect someone. So with Spider-Man Homecoming, you have this teenager that has seen all this death, and if it holds true that he does go back in time, like he watched people he looked up to that he loved die, and then he came back and then he saved them, and so you still have to deal with that. He still remembers all that while everybody else might not. So that's a huge thing that you're gonna have to deal with, and you're in high school.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that definitely. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think they're definitely gonna do a Spider-Man Homecoming sequel. The thing is, I don't really know. I don't know what their plans are after Avengers 3 and 4.
You have Captain Marvel. You have Spider-Man Homecoming 2.
My theory.
Guardians 3.
My theory is that they would get rid of older characters and make the newer characters like more relevant and just cycle them in and out until people stop paying for their movies.
Yeah, from what Kevin Feige, whatever, however you say it, Feige has said is that after Phase 3, Phase 4, and 5 and 6 are less structured, which. But that makes me think, I'm like, okay, what storyline are you going to do? Because you don't have the characters for, a lot of the things. Like, get Fantastic Four already.
It's hard.
I want Doom.
Well, I mean,
I want Doom versus Black Panther.
The funny thing is that Marvel still does not have a lot of their... They still don't have the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, which means they can't do Dr. Doom and stuff like that. So
they could if they work it out with Fox, if they do something similar, like you can establish Latveria, and you don't need the Fantastic Four, because honestly, that's what it comes down to is Latveria versus Wakanda, and I'm all for that. Yeah, because there's still a lot of stories that they can't do without those characters. Right,
because I don't even care about the Fantastic Four that much, but not having Dr. Doom,
and Galactus and Silver Surfer,
that definitely hurts them in some ways.
Yeah.
I really think if they ended up doing, this is my theory, if they do end up killing Tony Stark in the for good in the Infinity Wars, that leaves a slot open for like a very intelligent, highly advanced Brainiac, which makes room for Reed Richards, because the reason why they don't do Hulk standalone films anymore, yeah, because Universal, it's like what Mark Ruffalo said in that one interview, just Universal doesn't play well with others, and so they want to keep everything. So they license that Hulk can be in as many tie-in movies as you want, but standalone is just too much of a nightmare. If Fox can do a similar deal, and they just listen, use the Fantastic Four in any standalone in any movie universe, just not standalone. Then you have Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four all in there, and they just start doing. They basically fill in for Tony Stark. Since Tony's gone, they need some high tech. They need a Brainiac to help solve these really big problems, and then all these characters show up in all these other movies. I think that would be the best case scenario.
Yeah, and when I saw Fan Four Stick. And or at least with the premise of it where you had all these young kids, I'm like, that would have been great for the MCU, because then Tony Stark could have mentored Reed Richards, and it would have made sense, because even in the comics, they switch off between who looks up to who, but you had all that, and then the rest of that movie was awful. But yeah, I'm here for a Doom versus Black Panther thing, and then I want Storm in Black Panther. Don't call her mutant, call her the Wind Rider. I do not care, because her name in Africa was like the Wind Rider, and then she was the Kenyan princess, and she was the goddess. Call her all those things.
Oh my god!
And get her in there.
Have you seen the memes where it's like Black Panther and Storm, and there's like a door between them, and they're both like crying? Yeah, it's and
bad. They're bringing them back together in the comic books. Thank you, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm here for that.
All right, so I want to move on to Defenders. Yeah. All right, so
happy birthday,
Defenders. Defenders is kind of a weird show. Let's go with the good, and then the bad,
and then the ugly,
and then all right. So what I liked about Defenders, I liked the chemistry between the team. I thought Iron Fist, when he was with Luke Cage, was better than he was in his own show.
Yep.
I thought that the chemistry between Daredevil and Jessica Jones was really good. I was not expecting it. I enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of the things I liked. I thought that some of the fight scenes, like the ones when in Midland Circle, were done really well. Like when Iron Fist first gets jumped in Midland Circle, and then Luke Cage comes to help him out. Like that was a great fight. Like that was probably Iron Fist's one. That was a better fight than anything he did in his own show. Mm-hmm. Like by far, I liked them. Yeah, I liked them in the office when they teamed up. I thought all of that was good. I liked Iron Fist like punching Elektra. What did she have a sword or did she have a side at that point?
A sword.
Breaking the sword and her going through a wall. Like I thought all that was good. I liked when they were in the Chinese restaurant and talking for the first time.
Yeah.
I like when Stick showed up.
That was my favorite episode.
When Stick told Jessica to shut up and she just leaves.
Yeah.
That was just like episodes 3 and 4 I think were probably my favorite. I liked when they all tried to fight Iron Fist and Daredevil and Iron Fist start fighting. I enjoyed that. I like that Iron Fist, like, he uses the fist and it like knocks everyone. It pretty much knocks everyone out. Like, kind of shows that he has potential, but he's still like he's not there yet. So there were definitely things in Defenders that I liked and I enjoyed. But so yeah, we can just go around. What did you guys like about Defenders, especially that stood out to you?
I'll let Ricky go before me.
Yeah, I agree with so much what you're saying. Yeah, I think the strongest thing about the Defenders is just the relationships with all the characters, and this is something that I think a lot of team up movies, Justice League, can take note. Is that when you have characters who have a reason to fight for something, that's how you can justify a solid team up. The fact that everyone just ended up in Midland Circle at like the right point in time, and that you got to see, man, I think the best thing was with Luke Cage and Iron Fist going after the same perp and having a different reaction to it. When Luke said, "You're punching a kid."
Yeah.
You realize, like, you're punching a kid. He's like, oh, well, they're part of the hand. He's like, he's just trying to provide for his mom, dude. Like, you need to, like, sure that crime needs to stop, but you need to understand that, like, I live on their block. I'm just like, Luke, preach.
Yeah,
like,
when he came with that privilege suite, I was like, I'm here for it.
I saw
it was like 3 a.m. and I was ready to share it, but I was like, oh, wait. Spoilers.
I saw someone with a tweet. It said hashtag not all henchmen.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine, like, every single henchman, and, like, all those guys, they all have families, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I think the ones in the hand don't.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but the ones outside it do. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. Episodes 3 and 4 was my favorite. I liked Daredevil and Jessica Jones, their pairing. Luke Cage and Iron Fist together is something that I've wanted since, they announced those shows were coming. So I'm like, cancel season 2, put them together, give me Heroes for Hire.
Dude, yes.
And then I really wanted a scene with Misty Knight, Jessica Jones, and Claire Temple all together with Luke Cage.
Yeah, they're like they're Eskimo sisters. Yeah.
That would have been so funny.
I will also say I definitely liked. I didn't even cut you off, but I definitely liked the first few episodes. How it almost feels like it almost feels like you're watching 4 different shows from the way it was shot, from the things like they all get to Midland Circle in their own way, doing their own stuff. Like, okay, Jessica's got a client, and Luke is trying to help this kid out, and Iron Fist is trying to find out more about the Hand, and Daredevil's got a case. Like, they all got there in ways that they would in their own shows.
Right. So they did that well. I mean, episode 1 was sort of like a flat premiere for me, and like you see where all these people are. It was just sort of flat that way. But 2 really upped it up, and 3 and 4 where the restaurant scene, because the restaurant scene was pretty much a bottle episode, so that was really good, and seeing them all interact and them all come together, and then they started fighting together, and Jessica Jones comes back by throwing the car in there. And
love that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that this is sort of transitioning into the bad, but I feel like they didn't do Jessica Jones really justice with her powers, because it's so inconsistent. Because you see her just punching someone and they get knocked out okay. Then you see her kick someone every once in a while and they go flying.
No, she can punch people to death if she wanted to.
Right, but at some point, she's pretty much Luke Cage, except she's not bulletproof. Because they refuse to have her fly.
In the comics, yeah, and I was gonna say in the comics she can fly.
Right, they refuse to have her fly because it takes away the realism of it. I'm like, she don't have to fly all the time, just when fly from time to time. Like, oh, I got to get somewhere quickly. Walk, run, or fly. Fly.
Well, yeah, and I guess I could think we can transition the bad if you want. I definitely think like, with some of the team dynamics, like, okay, so when you write and when you have an ensemble team, everyone on the team is supposed to have a role, right? So in my opinion, like, okay, Daredevil, he's the leader.
Yeah.
Jessica is supposed to be the smart one. And there were times where, like, Daredevil or someone else was figuring stuff out and Jessica was just hanging out. And I was like, Jessica is like a detective. She's supposed to, like, remember when they were they found the thing in the piano? Like, I feel like Jessica should have figured that out.
With the piano thing, it makes sense for Daredevil to figure it out. Well, at least if she was like playing it, then it would have made sense for Daredevil to figure out because of his hearing. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. She was just sort of there
in some cases, and I feel like, and I feel like Luke Cage. Luke Cage is like he's like the big brother. He's the protector.
He's the moral compass.
He's the moral compass. I think he's the most like good out of all of them, like the most selfless, And then, in my opinion, like Iron Fist is the guy who's most connected to like mysticism. He should, and this is the thing they didn't do. Iron Fist to me should almost be like the religious one. He's the one who's seen like dragons and all this stuff. He's the one who sees the bigger. Iron Fist is the one I think who should be the one who sees the bigger global, bigger global picture, and kind of almost be the heart. Like if you ever watch like Teen Titans, almost be like the Beast Boy type.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ricky.
Well, I was gonna say I think I figured it out because I was talking on a live stream with some other people about the Defenders, and after the live stream finished, I realized Iron Fist needs to be the Avatar. Like that's like I think, and the thing that I think a lot of people don't like about Iron Fist so far is that he's just not likable. Like I'm not rooting for him at any point in time until he was in Defenders, because like after Luke Cage put him in check, he's like, actually, you know what? Maybe I should try this a little bit different. Like I need to go. Like I am the immortal Iron Fist. I have this duty to do this, that, the other. But like it shouldn't. I don't think it should come from. Him trying to just like, I'm being more Iron Fist. That's all I do. It's my job. But like, he should be fighting for people the same way that Luke, fights for people. But yeah, I think that that's exactly what you're saying. Like, he should have more of that kind of connection, because he's never he just like the Avatar. He never finished his training, and he's young. And he still has a lot to learn, but he also has a ton of responsibility on his hands, and he needs to like grow up while also becoming more centered,
And that was one of my problems with the Iron Fist season, was that you come back after being gone for 12 something years, something like that, and you're just gonna walk up and expect people to know who you are. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, they made him an idiot. And he's still an idiot in the Defenders. He's just, he's very rash. He's very quick. You would think that with the training he did in Kunlun, he would have gotten some control over his anger. Some control over his impulsiveness. And he doesn't have that. Which we saw when they were fighting. Because it makes sense. If they keep coming after you, hold off until you find out why. Mm-hmm. And still don't fight everybody. Like, you're outnumbered 4-1 and they're saying, no, don't do this, hold up. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, like, you know who else was, like, trained for several years, like, to, like, be this weapon? Wonder Woman. And she rolled into Earth with a level head and knew, alright, great, so we're going to battle, right? We're going to battle, right?
Yeah.
It's time to fight. And then, like, so... Yeah, I know it's possible. There are too many other examples to like show like how they can do that well. But yeah.
And so one of the other things that the plot didn't really do it for me towards the end.
Yeah. Well, this is gonna be in my bad. Some of those fight scenes towards the end were not. Yeah. It was way too dark. I was like, wait, is that Luke? Wait, is that? And I understand that. I think they were probably strapped for time. Because that's how when you don't have time to do like a good fight scene, you make it dark so you can't see stun doubles. You do a whole bunch of cuts. I was disappointed with that. There's like one part where like with the elevator where the CGI, they found out, they screenshot it on Reddit. Mm-hmm. It was just super bad. Yeah. Like you literally can see like the green screen.
Oh yeah, where old boy fell down from the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Like the dude at the end of Ninja Turtles 3.
Whoever's editing this, like, you knew. You know what I mean?
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
When I went back maybe a couple years ago and I watched The Phantom Menace and you see Darth Maul falling into the shaft where he gets cut in half and you can see it's CGI. Like later on, like when I was a kid, like I didn't notice that. And that's what it reminded me of. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, it was jarring.
I mean, it was 1 through 4. If I would give 1 through 4 overall a grade, it would probably be like a 7.5, 8. With 3 and 4 being like a 7.5 to a 9 in that range, and 1 and 2 being a 6.5 to a 7.5. But then 5 through 8 it was just like a 6 because I did not feel really threatened by Sigourney Weaver's character at all when she fought Elektra for like 2 seconds. Like, that thing was so slow. I'm like, there's no way she's gonna be able to keep up. So this is terrible. And then the whole plan, like, they're going to mine the dragon's bones and to get the material, get the substance, that's fine. But the fact that that's going to cause New York to collapse, I don't agree with, because that's not something the Defenders deal with. Well, at least what they were trying to make these Defenders deal with. The other Defenders, the comic Defenders, that makes perfect sense because they're all about the mystical and the supernatural and things like that. But these Defenders, it would have been made more sense if, like, the Kingpin brought in the Hand and they were taking over the city and they were doing drugs and human trafficking and everything that they were doing in Daredevil. That would make sense because that's something that Luke Cage would get into because they pushing drugs in Harlem or trying to take teenagers out of Harlem. Yeah. Daredevil, he would have drawn back in because it would have been a case. Jessica Jones, someone's daughter or son was kidnapped. She's trying to find them. And Iron Fist, is there because it's the Hand and he's trying to defeat them. That would have made sense. But I feel like with Kingpin being in jail, they're trying to do season 3 with Born Again, and that's just gonna, you're gonna have Daredevil have another knockout season, and everybody else is just gonna be good and then okay.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that, that was my bad is that, with the Hand, I feel like their plan didn't seem like, okay, it's going to blow up the city, but it didn't seem as, threatening to me as it should have, because we've had, stick for, 2 seasons of Daredevil, oh, this war is coming, and I didn't really, feel that, threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
it didn't...
No, go ahead, Ricky.
Well, I was just going to say, the threat was hey, these people are going to be immortal, like they have been, and they're going to destroy part of New York by mining these bones. And but I remember it being more war-y. I feel like there were just a lot of inconsistencies with how they went about executing the big bads. I felt like the hand. They introduced too many new characters in the hand. Like, okay, great, and now introducing the hand, starring like 3 new people who we've never seen before. But also they didn't seem that menacing. I feel like Nobu in season 1 and 2 of Daredevil like put up more of a fight than like half the hand.
Yeah, then like what was the good name? Like Murakami is supposed to be Nobu's boss, and then they brought back the one guy with the afro from Iron Fist, Bakudo.
Yeah.
And
then you had Madame Gao. And that was another thing. How come Madame Gao's the only really old one? Like, Sigourney Weaver's like, yeah, kind of old, but like she's not that old. You know, like, how come Madame Gao and all, you know, when they were all in Kunlun was like 90 years old, and you're like, you know what? I want to live forever. You're 90 years old. Why do you want to live forever in that body? That doesn't make sense. Like, you know, everybody else, like, you know, Bakudo, the African warlord guy whose name starts with an S, and the Nobu's boss, like, it makes sense because they're like 30, 40, their bodies are still, you know, in their prime, or at least.
But Madame Gao's just,
Yeah, and she's got unexplained mystic powers that didn't really do anything, so.
Yeah, no, see, Madame Gao heard about the senior discounts, and she's hitting up IHOP. She's like, listen, while y'all are out here being young, I'm going to get my discount.
Yeah.
I mean, they did do a good job explaining, like, why the head of the hand was white. Because they were all these people from all over the world. They were representing all over. That made, well, it made sense. It didn't make sense of how all these people in, like, ancient times made it to Kunlun. Doesn't make much sense.
It's diversity with your villains.
Yeah, especially with South America, Bakudo. How did Bakudo make it from South America to, like, Tibet?
I got no idea.
Africa makes sense because people were traveling from Africa to China all the time.
At least he cut off Misty's arm before he died.
Well, I knew that was coming.
That's his one That's Bakudo's contribution to the MCU. He's given us a comic accurate Misty Knight.
Yeah.
Cause I follow the actress that plays her on Twitter. Cause she's from Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was saying that like in an interview she was like I've never had people so excited to get my arm cut off. Like for me to lose a limb, like because if you go like I heard mentions on Twitter, it's literally just people asking her like, oh, when did like before Defenders came out, like you gonna lose your arm? You're gonna lose your arm? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, and with a war implies casualties on both sides. So the casualties on the Defender side: Stick, Misty's arm, a couple random people. Oh, the Kid and Luke Cage, and the dad that Jessica Jones was investigating for. That's it. Like,
it may be Elektra. We don't know.
Yeah, well, she's alive somewhere.
Who knows?
But the one thing I wanted about that is like they didn't attack the police station. You kidding me? Like they couldn't have had one rogue cop in there that they hired or something, and then like no one had to die. Maybe Foggy got shot or Karen got shot.
The hand was supposed to have like infiltrated like everything. And I also remember in Daredevil season 1 where like all the like dirty cops and dirty politicians ever connected to Wilson Fisk like gets arrested at that one point. Like there was never a scene like that where it's like, oh my god, that hot dog salesman was a part of the hand, and like I would have liked a scene like showing just like how deep they were invested in New York, like oh, these business people were part of the hand, and these cops, and oh, that I'm trying to think of like, oh wow, the garbage man over there, he was a part of the hand.
He's been watching me the entire time.
Yeah, well, I wish they would have done that with. I wish they would have done more with the people at the police station. Like they got once everyone started showing up at the police station to be put into protective custody. I'm like, oh great, so we got B story with like Misty and the gang being the guy at the computer. All right, what's that? They're gonna do nothing. They're just gonna sit and just talk to each other. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. And then I was talking to my buddy Scott about how I would love it if they rebooted Powerless, like the failed NBC DC show.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I watched all of the episodes that were aired before it got canceled. But I wish they would to reboot Powerless, but with all of those non-superpowered characters. You got Claire, Karen, Misty, Malcolm, and Karen, and everyone else.
Leave Karen out of it. Karen annoys me so much. And then So yeah, I know I like some of the top comments that I've seen, or the most populous comments I've seen, with the people who are like, oh, they're gonna do Born Again for Daredevil season 3. Is like, I'm here for Karen as a prostitute. I'm like, dog, you people are so messed up. Like, why you want to see her so broken on hard times that she becomes a prostitute and she sells out Daredevil for heroin?
Oh man, I think that might be, because remember, that's her. She has like some kind of dark backstory. I think that might be what they show up in season 3.
Yeah. So I mean, they could have did more with the villains. I still wish the Hand was more of a criminal syndicate, because that would have made more sense for what they were trying to do. Yeah. So then and I don't get. Because it's an 8-episode season, I don't get how you had a good plot for your first 4 episodes and then such a poor one for your last 4. And Luke Cage, you had a great first 6 and then a poor last 6. Like, I'm not getting it. Iron Fist was just all bad. But, you know.
Well, I really
the one
think
thing about the season finale was I didn't really like the fight, but the fact, I can't remember what the song was, but when they were fighting to that was pretty cool. Like, that felt like that's what it should have been, but then again, it was cut dramatically and it was dark and the fight wasn't all that great.
Is that Daredevil? Yeah.
Seriously, because I feel like what they did with that last fight, I really think that Marvel, either they just don't know there are other options for how to end series, but like the big fight and then the death fake out, like what? Like, I don't know, like, why they continue to do that. And I feel like the one thing that was missing, especially from that last fight, is like more Daredevil doing, like, I wanted them to work together as a team, like what they did in Avengers. Like, Daredevil is basically, pun intended, eyes and ears, where he's just like, hey, on like Jessica on your left, or like he's like calling out positions for like people, and then Jessica's like, hey Luke, heads up, and then she's like throwing people to him. He's like bouncing people.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like if she threw someone and then Luke, you know, hit them. Yeah. I see. I definitely see what you're saying. No, I mean, because the thing about I came across when I finished Defenders, I was like, I liked it, but I don't think it was a show I would definitely like rush to rewatch. Like I may rewatch certain scenes, like the Midland Circle fight, but I don't see it as a show that I would rewatch versus like I'd rewatch Daredevil seasons 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. I'd rewatch Jessica Jones. I'd rewatch
the first 6 episodes of
Luke Cage. Yeah.
I would have liked a Punisher cameo, sort of like how he was at the end of Daredevil season 2. That would have been great. But also, Punisher still holds the best hallway scene of the MCU.
Oh my gosh!
You know, you could have had like the Hand try to invade the police station while the other defenders were away, and then the Punisher shows up and just kills everyone. Yeah,
that would have been great. And then Karen would have been Frank. Then when Daredevil gets back, he'd be like, "Damn it, Frank."
And John Bernthal, they just give him his check, and he's just like, "All right, I'll see you guys in a few months."
Yeah.
But we can move on. Sorry, there's a couple more things in our list because I know we're well over an hour now. So I wanted to talk about Sonic Mania. And I know Ricky, I've seen you on Twitter. You've been pretty excited about this game. So you can lead this conversation and just talk about like what Sonic Mania is and why there's so much excitement about it.
Yeah, because he gave me like a little spiel about it, but I hadn't even heard of it till an hour ago.
So check it. It's this guy. So this guy, he's just a guy who just loves games and stuff, and he basically made like his own version of Sonic, just because he can. And then Sega's like, "Hey, you want to make our mobile versions of Sonic because his 16-bit graphics like were really smooth?" Mm-hmm. And so he said, "Of course." And so then after that, it did really well, and they said, "Hey, want to make a Sonic game for us? Like an official like throwback 16-bit Sonic game?" He said, "Of course I do." And so that's what he did. Sonic Mania is a combination of the original Sega Genesis like console version of Sonic, while also adding in completely new levels and different mechanics with Sonic. So they have like new bonus levels that you can play if you have enough rings at the checkpoint, and new bosses. Oh man, the bosses are amazing, and it's fantastic. It's like if you ever played Sonic back in the day, it's like the ultimate. It's like I want to say like Sonic 4 or 5 for the Sega Genesis, because it feels like such a solid like new old game.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it literally feels like you're playing a game on the Genesis, but it's better because they take the stages that people like and they remix them, they add things, as well as just like brand new stages made from the ground up. You can be Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles from the get-go. You, same deal, you go on the special stages, you can get the Chaos Emeralds, and be Super Sonic, the secret boss. They have some great, extra modes too. If you once you collect you do the Blue Spears levels, which I'm still bad at after all these years.
Yeah.
They have one mode that's called like and Knuckles mode, where you can play as any other character, any of the other characters, and Knuckles will follow you much like Tails does, even if you're playing as Knuckles. So it's like Knuckles and Knuckles mode, which I guess that was like a meme within the Sonic fandom. So you can play through the entire game, including like Secret Ending, Secret Boss, with just 2 Knuckles like the entire time.
That's hilarious.
Can you be Silver?
No, not. It's all classic.
I'm not with it. No, Silver is the only reason why Silver. I like Silver is because everybody's like Sonic and Shadow. I'm like, I love the both of them, but I'm here for Silver. Time traveler. Reminds me of Trunks.
He's a cool character in a really crappy game, which I just hurt. Which just hurt him. But yeah, I mean, but you even get there's a debug mode, so like you can pretty much like hack. It's pretty much like playing a hacked version of the game, and then there's There was like a Tetris based spinoff called like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. It was like a real old game for the Genesis, and one of the bosses in the game is you actually have to play Mean Bean Machine against Dr. Robotnik as like the boss for that stage, and then you can unlock it as a standalone like mini game in the game. So there's competition mode. So if you have a friend, you can race so you can speed run a stage faster. So there's
you can play locally with a friend. Wow, this is a novel concept that games are taking away now. I'm like,
I know.
Yeah, we want you to buy 2 versions of this game. You greedy sons.
Yeah, so there's just a lot in Sonic Mania that was fun, and some people are hailing it as like the best Sonic game in 20 years.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
There are plenty of the Sonic games I think that were good. Okay, I like the Sonic Advance games. I still like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I haven't played in a while, so I don't know how well it aged. It's aged, but I mean,
like a fine wine.
Yeah, I still enjoy it, So, but
it's here's the thing, and this is the problem. Like, basically, this is Sonic following the Super Mario model, which is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, it's classic Sonic. It's just like it's a 2D platformer where it's a game built on rhythm. It's not just about running fast, but it's about like finding the ebbs and flow of this massive map. And it's the same. That's the same thing with Super Mario. Like the Super Mario games is just like, okay, great. So we'll occasionally throw Sonic into like the 3D space. Or if I said Sonic, I meant Mario. We'll occasionally throw Mario into like the 3D space, but like for the Super Mario games, like to get like kids to play a video game, it's a side-scrolling platformer, and so like that's what this game is, and it's just a complete throwback. And I think we need both, because like you have like the Mario Galaxies that are like a little bit more open worldy,
Sunshine
which are
Galaxies,
fun.
That kind of stuff,
right. And you have those things, but then you also still have like the Super Mario Brothers games. And so I think this is like hopefully the beginning of what Sega knows how to do with playing Sonic. Don't always bring him into that 3D world. He doesn't always need it, unless it's something that's going to be more or less an event game, like Sonic Adventure 2. Like, I think it's still like one of the best Sonic games out there. And then like, or Sonic Heroes, like you can have those games, just like add in new mechanics to make it feel familiar but also new. And so that's why I think that they need to continue to do. I think you need both.
Yeah, because they started doing too much with some of their other games, like that Sonic Werewolf game, like
Werewolf,
Sonic the Lost Knight,
or
things like that.
Yeah, Werewolf.
Like, no, you're taking away from what made the games great. Even when you had, just Sonic side-scrolling games, it was just like him versus Dr. Robotnik, and it was all this complex stuff.
Part of it too is that like every single Sonic game pretty much had like a different play style and do something different, and it was like there was nothing like, as opposed to Mario where there's always like there's always a basic base to the style of Mario games, whether it be 2D, 3D. There's a spin-off, Paper Mario, that kind of stuff. Mario Kart. There's always a base of what those games should be, and they just add to it. And I definitely feel like Sonic needs Sonic Mania, I think, is a great like base game. And if they ever do like a Sonic Mania 2, do the same thing, add some more levels, different levels. Maybe give them a new power-up every once in a while. Don't make it a central part of the game, but just tweak it and do some different stuff, and that's fine. And if they're going to experiment with 3D Sonic, I think for 3D Sonic, they need to make like a basic 3D game that just like works, has a simple story, simple play styles, and it works, and then just see how it does, and then just add little things to it. But like every game does not need to have like a massively different gameplay style and that kind of stuff. Because the thing about Sonic Mania was that like if you have played the Sonics on the Genesis, it is literally like you're literally back at home, So yeah, Ricky, I definitely agree with everything you said about that. So there's one more topic on here now. Ricky, do you have experience with the Dragon Ball franchise at all?
Oh yeah, no, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, like I remember my sister and I back in the day, we would go back and like find the VHSs for Dragon Ball, and we were like hipsters at that time. It was just like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is so cool. So it's like, I prefer Dragon Ball when Goku was a kid and he actually learned everything. Like we were OG Dragon Ball fans, yeah.
So my history with Dragon Ball Z is my older brother watched it and loved it. My oldest brother hated it. He was like, they lose every episode. They're the loser squad. He still calls them that to this day. So I would watch it with my older brother, and we were watching the Tree of Might movie. And I think I was 4. And so I'm watching it, and I'm loving it, and my mom walks in, and she sees Gohan transform into a great ape. She loses it. She was just like, why are you watching this? So I get banned from watching Dragon Ball Z until I was 10.
I remember.
But then here's the thing. I could play all the video games. I could play Budokai and Budokai Tenkaichi. So I knew the story. So by the time I turned 10, and when I turned 10, Dragon Ball Z, its first, finishing the run-through was ending. I caught the last 2 episodes, so I saw, Goku Jr. and, Vegeta... No, that was GT.
You talking about the ending of original Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, I saw...
With Pan and the tournament, he leaves with Oob, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I know my Dragon Ball dog.
And I was just like, that's it? What is this? And then I discovered Dragon Ball and all that. But I love Dragon Ball Z Abridged by Team 4 Star. Yes. That is so funny, and I'm here for it, and I love it so much. I really want them. I was watching one of their streams, and they were talking about how when they get to Kid Buu, they want his him to still be just saying random things, but his inner monologue to be like this deep voice. And I'm like, hey, let me do that for you.
No, I've been to conventions with Team 4 Star. They're pretty awesome guys. I like how they got their voices in the Xenoverse games and that kind of stuff, where they create your own character. But today I want to talk about, so Ricky, if you're not familiar, Dragon Ball Super is like the continuation of the Dragon Ball Z story. It takes place after Dragon Ball Z, and they're pretty much, I don't know if they're retconning GT or they're just ignoring it for now, but it takes place before any of that stuff could happen. If it ever did. Yeah,
so there's a theory out there that what's going to happen is everything in Super is going to happen, and then one of the new characters that they introduce is going to go back in time and wipe everything out. And I'm like, if you do that, I hate you. This is don't make GT canon. As much love as I have for GT just because of what it was, You know, like with some of the really cool things they did, some of the really terrible things they did outweigh
I like
that.
Super Saiyan 4.
Yeah, Super Saiyan 4 was cool. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. The Dark Dragon Saga was cool. Baby was cool, but some of their filler episode and some of the silly things they did was
Pan was annoying, and they didn't spend enough time with the characters that people liked.
Also, Trunks was a wimp.
Well, yeah, he was. Adult Kid Trunks.
Yeah, and then Gohan is always a wimp in the future.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Super for a little bit. So right now what's going on in Super is that, like, so in the newer Dragon Ball, like, movies, they've introduced this idea that, like, there's a multiverse within Dragon Ball, and there's 12 different universes.
13.
13?
Yeah.
No, it's 12. It's 12.
I thought it was 13 because it's 6 and 7 pair up.
Each one has a pair.
Hold on,
the numbers equal 13, but there's 12 universes.
Okay, the numbers.
So there's 12 universes, and they introduce, like, this god of all the universes, and he decides that he wants to see a tournament between the best fighters from each universe, and all the universes that lose get destroyed.
But then there are 4 universes that
there's
are
4
like,
that get like there's 4 universes that get like exempt.
Pass
they get like a pass. They get exempt.
Their mortal like power levels are strong enough, and they don't have to be in it. Because apparently the whole reason was like they were gonna wipe out the universes anyway, but this just gives one universe a chance.
So pretty much it's this idea that they take like the top best fighter, Goku, and like the 9 best people he can find from his universe have to be in like this battle royale between these other universes. So it's pretty much just been like a free for all style fight between just a billion different characters for the past 10,
12 episodes. I'm already tired of it.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm like, is this ever going to end? So
because
I want to talk about that for...
Yeah, because during it, Goku's going to get a new transformation. And so he's not getting any new colors. It's going to be like his black hair and Super Saiyan style. And his aura is white. His eyes are silver.
We've seen a screenshot of it. We haven't seen it in action yet, though.
Yeah, so they released it like you saw his back, and then they actually showed you his front like a couple weeks ago. It got released in Shonen Jump, but it's like there are people that. So one of the things is, did you see Battle of the Gods?
Yes.
So you met Beerus, and he's the god of destruction. You met Whis, who's his teacher, who is technically an angel.
So, that's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, so they fleshed out that lore. So each universe has a god of destruction, and then each angel has, each god of destruction has an angel, has a Whis figure. And then the god of everything, the Omni King, has his grand priest is the father of all the angels. So there's a theory out there that there's going to be, like, the angels are evil. Because when the first universe got wiped out, the angel of that universe, he didn't get wiped out. He stays alive. All the angels stay alive.
The angels get to live, but everyone else, the gods of destructions die, and the entire universe is just wiped out, just gone.
Yeah.
And 2 universes have disappeared so far.
Right. So when the first one got wiped out, the angel smiled.
He's smiling as his entire universe is gone. So there's a theory that somehow these angels are manipulating God, the Omni King, into just getting these universes destroyed.
But I'm that doesn't really make much sense because he's stronger than all of them, so then he can just wipe them out if they try
who knows?
And so then, but when the second universe got wiped out, that angel was sad. So it's just maybe that angel was just a dick.
And we're gonna try to minimize. we're gonna try to minimize spoilers, but universes do get destroyed. No one. There hasn't been any huge crazy deaths or anything like that. But that's the premise of what's going on with Dragon Ball right now.
I'm waiting for my Vegeta centric episode and for Vegeta to get his due.
Oh, we didn't even tell him. We didn't tell him the team lineup for.
Oh yeah.
So the team lineup for Goku's universe, it's Goku, Vegeta, androids 18 and 17. So 17 comes back.
Oh, word.
Yeah. Piccolo, Master Roshi, Krillin, and
Tien, and Gohan,
and Frieza.
Oh, and Frieza.
And Frieza's the one pretty much they get to a point where they try to get Majin Buu to be the last member of the team, but Majin Buu is sleeping and they can't wake him up. So Goku decides to convince whoever's in charge of like Hell or whatever.
Yeah, so they got Baba to give him the day pass.
They gave Frieza Goku the 1 day pass that Goku had in Dragon Ball Z so that they could have their last person on the team. And it's like, who thinks this is a good idea?
Right, like, so one plus is Mystic Gohan is back. Gohan is back and he's strong, and
he's so like, Gohan's like full power.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, with Frieza, like, everybody, like, loves Frieza. Cell was always my favorite villain. Mm-hmm. And I think you were telling me this, Kris, they didn't want to bring him back because Cell is such a pain to draw and animate.
They didn't want to bring Cell back because he's a pain to draw and animate because all the spots.
Right, and I'm just like, you know what? Give him a new transformation like you gave Frieza that gets rid of the spots. You know, like, Cell, and honestly, Cell had the most potential. Like, they retconned it and said Frieza was, never trained, so that's why he, got strong. But I'm like,
they brought Frieza. Frieza's back because Frieza's a fan favorite.
Right, but Cell's honestly the one that could be the strongest out of all of them because he has Saiyan biology, so coming back from the dead, he gets stronger. He has Frieza's biology. He never trained, so he just absorbed people, and then he absorbed Goku in GT and got a huge power up. So imagine if he absorbed other people because he didn't try after he was perfect. So
so that's the idea of what's going on in Dragon Ball right now. I recommend, if you're not watching Super, check it out. A lot of the beginning episodes are sort of like they expand on some of the stuff that happened in Battle of Gods and like Resurrection F, which is a movie where like Frieza came back and he was gold. But if you use like Crunchyroll or whatever, you can honestly skip those earlier episodes. Go on Wikipedia, decide where you want to be, and skip some of those earlier episodes because it's a ride. And the thing I enjoy about Super, I think the reason, because Super has its problems like power level inconsistencies and whatnot. Always had that. But I think what's helped Super be different than GT is that Super gives time for a lot of the side characters within the Dragon Ball franchise. Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, people like that. They get a lot of attention because in GT, they didn't really. You spent a lot of time with Pan. You spent a lot of time with adult Kid Trunks, and not a lot of time with the characters from the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z that people really like. So I think that's one thing Super does well. Vegeta gets a decent amount of spotlight. A lot of the characters that people have liked, from back in the day do get time to shine and they get to be relevant and do things.
Yeah, and then I would just say, actually, I have been reading the Dragon Ball Super manga, and I would say actually read that above watching the show because some of the changes they made to the story, and I feel like they're doing that since they have more time and they've changed some things. Like, I feel like the manga is telling it better than the TV show, and some of the things that are like, oh, okay, this was sort of dumb how this ended, and like, oh, this is a lot better. Like, I was rereading how
manga's always quicker. I would say maybe read the manga, get the basic idea, and if you want to see a specific part like animated or see what it looked like, just go. I don't know. I have no idea if you watch anime or how you watch anime, but I have Crunchyroll, so super easy.
I've been out of the game for a minute. I think the last series I watched actively was Bleach. And then I hopped out that last. Don't get me started
on Bleach.
No, I watched Bleach and then I started reading because I just needed more Bleach in my life, so I read the manga, and I was just so far ahead of what they were in anime. And then they had that weird filler season, and then after. Like, he's like, so I don't have my abilities anymore. Oh, wait, I guess I do again. I'm just like, I think I'm out.
Dragon Ball Z withstanding my favorite manga and anime is Rurouni Kenshin.
That's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. That was the first one I read that I wasn't introduced to. Like, I was introduced to One Piece and Naruto, but I just found Rurouni Kenshin. I watched it on TV. Like, it was on Toonami, and I was like, oh, this dude's fighting with swords? It's cool. And then I was like, then I just fell in love with it.
My favorite anime, it changes every week, I like Attack on Titan. There's one called My Hero Academia, which is really good.
That is
Have you started watching it?
I started reading it.
Reading it? My Hero Academia, it's pretty much like the anime take on like the superhero genre. It's essentially like a superhero high school. So if you ever watch like, you're big in Disney, you've seen like Sky High.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like,
a classic.
Yeah, there's an anime manga franchise called My Hero Academia that's like the anime version of Sky High.
What was the black
like the
Disney
idea, and it's pretty
movie?
good. What?
What was the black Disney superhero movie?
I have no idea.
Oh, I know what you're talking about with Up in the Way.
Yes, I love that movie. That movie is a classic. I'm so mad though that aluminum foil was there. Because every black household has aluminum foil.
Yeah.
In one, if not many drawers.
Yes.
Yeah, because one thing we definitely didn't touch, because I think we're over an hour and a half, so I think we're gonna wrap up pretty soon. One thing we definitely didn't touch that maybe we can at some point in the future is that Ricky, I know you're pretty big into Disney, aren't you?
Yeah.
I've seen Ricky has a lot of Disney-based videos. So maybe if we can get him on another podcast at some point, we can have a more Disney-themed podcast.
Did you see my animated Disney movie bracket that I did a few months back?
What was it?
I did it on Facebook. I did a March Madness style bracket for animated Disney movies.
Yes.
And I did it based on votes. And so I had people like nominate movies, and I'm like, all right, for the nominations. Then I seeded it. And so I did 30. I think I did 32 teams, and it got all the way down. So it was. I love doing that. I did an overall.
Who won?
Lion King.
Lion King. Okay.
It was Lion King versus Aladdin in the finals.
Yep.
Yeah, the final four were Lion King versus Mulan and Aladdin versus Hercules.
Okay.
All right, and with that, I think we're going to wrap up the podcast for today. Ricky, where can they find you?
You can find me online in most places at Stewdippin. That's STEWDIPPIN. Especially on YouTube. That's where I like to post my videos. And if you don't want to see me at all, but just hear me, you can find me at the Flashback Flicks Retro Movie Podcast, available on iTunes and SoundCloud or wherever else RSS feeds go for Retro Movie Night.
Alrighty, and with that, I'm your host Chris.
I'm your co-host Kris.
And it's been the Two Black Two Nerdy podcast, and we'll see you all again.
Yeah, next time we'll figure out which number it actually is. That two-parter just screwed
and Ricky,
us up.
maybe we'll bring you back for some Disney talks.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line. 'Cause, I know you're super into that. So goodbye everybody. We'll see you later.